So, I'm currently working on a much larger video, something that has proven to be quite the challenge. It's gonna be the longest video I've ever made, and because of that, I realized that by the time I upload anything new, it's gonna be a long time. So I decided I'd get this out of the way, because I have a few thoughts on the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. So let's get this out of the way. This movie is quite impressive. Technically, I can confidently say that this film is, well, it has nailed everything, technically. The acting is fantastic, the visual effects are fantastic, the music is awesome. This film is genuinely a marvel when it comes to everything technical. Now when it comes to storytelling, it's a bit of a mixed bag. But before we get into that, I have changed, as you can tell, my copyright protection screen thingy. I actually modeled this myself. In 3D. So Everything Everywhere All at Once is a story about a family that is going through some troubles. It starts off with the family trying to prepare for a tax audit. We see how hectic the family's life is with how everything has to run smoothly. In addition, they have a celebration of Chinese New Year that they're preparing for at the laundromat, which is the business that they're running and getting audited for. Fuck the IRS. As things keep going, we learn that the daughter is actually a lesbian and for some reason wanted to, I guess, come out to her grandfather about being a lesbian, which I don't understand. Why in the hell would you want to do that? I have had several gay friends in my life. None of them came out to their parents. One of them that did had a terrible home life, and every time I went to their place, their parents would actually stare at me as if I was fucking their son. So, a bit of advice for everybody who's gay, trust me, your parents have literally nothing to do with your sex life. Leave them out of it, it's up to you, not to them. So afterwards, they end up going into the IRS for the meeting. The father, well, spoiler alert, switches into a different version of him from a multiverse and gives the mother instructions on how to meet him again. They both travel to a burner universe, as it's called. By the way, a burner universe sounds like the most irresponsible thing to do, especially when your goal is to save the multiverse. Why would you risk losing a multiverse completely and ruining trillions upon trillions of lives just for your convenience? That seems extremely irresponsible. I can understand if this was like a multiverse that was taken over by Multiverse, but as you can clearly tell, there are just people running around back there afraid of the situation. So this is genuinely selfish and cruel what you're doing right there. And you're the heroes. After that, we see a version of the IRS tax agent attack and kill both alternate versions of the mother and the father. Because of that, it prompts the mother to attack the IRS agent. That's pretty funny. It causes security to come up and the father comes back, the multiversal version, Alpha Raymond, comes back and attacks and kicks the ass of the security agents using a fucking fanny pack. That's pretty funny. And then the true evil is revealed. The big bad, Multiverse, or whatever. Multiverse turns out to be the daughter from the Alpha universe. Now the Alpha universe was the first universe that achieved multiversal travel and multiversal connections with others. There, they developed the technology in order to be able to connect with the other versions of the multiverse and use the other's skill in order to succeed in fights. Mostly. Now this is another problem that this movie, I guess, doesn't seem to mind. The fights don't make a lot of sense if you think about it, because, see, fighting isn't just mental, it's physical. If, let's say, your alternate version of yourself was a grandmaster at chess, I can believe that you would be able to download their knowledge from the multiverse and use that knowledge in order to be able to compete in chess and win. That makes somewhat sense, but when you go into something different like fighting, well, people that are really good fighters also are physically adept at fighting, which means you have the muscle capacity, the flexibility, all that is needed to be a good fighter. So an older woman with what looks like the physique of an IRS agent jumping from the top of the stairs without breaking every bone in her body makes no sense to me, even though she comes from a multiverse, or at least her skills come from a multiverse where she's a wrestler. So that's a thing that this movie will face a lot, especially afterwards. Like when the mother, when she starts using her pinkies as really strong. As you can see in the multiverse version, her pinkies are muscular as hell. That's where the strength comes from. Where the hell did the strength that she needed come from the original universe? That's something that doesn't really work out very well eventually we meet the big bad and we see her powers, which are very creatively visualized, and I honestly really like this scene. We then learn as well that the daughter is able to jump through universes without using the ear tech thing that people use and without needing to do anything weird in order to jump. Now here's the confusing part about doing something weird before we jump ahead to the daughter's strength and powers. The weird concept doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it, because something that is weird could be literally anything. See, if the weirdness is connected to the universe that you're doing it, which is what seems to be the case, because why else would you need to do something weird yet specific? Then breathing is considered weird in many universes. Hell, anything. Walking a step. Walking backwards. You don't have to snort a fly in order to be considered doing something weird according to the universes. Now, if we go into the powers of what the daughter has, she's capable of jumping into all the universes at all time, no matter what. There's no need to do anything weird. There's no need to have any of the tech. There's no need for anything beyond just you and what you can do. We find out later that the mother has the same powers. Although she does have those powers, they weren't awakened until her brain broke, which is what happened to the daughter in the Alpha universe. Her brain broke, and that's what caused her to be able to do this. I'm gonna assume that the powers that Alpha universe Joy can do allow her to bring objects from the multiverse, as well as adding to her repertoire of fighting or abilities, because her look changes all the time and she can change items on the fly. But what is this, for example? So we see Alpha Universe Dad roll in on a fully pimped out wheelchair. Where did he get those pimped out tools? Unless he got them from the universe that we're in already. In which case, then I don't know where I was supposed to get the insinuation, but I guess that is the case. Where did he find a glowing panel of buttons? I don't know. So if we keep going ahead into the bagel reveal, which by the way looks like every single Blender introduction tutorial, we learn that the bagel has everything in the universe placed inside of it.
And I put everything on a bagel. All my hopes and dreams, my old report cards, every breed of dog, every last personal ad on Craigslist, sesame, poppy seed, salt.
And it created some sort of black hole thing that sucks in reality itself. And because of that, the daughter was hoping that she could jump into it to basically die. But before that, she was looking for someone like her, and she thought for some reason that her mother would be able to do that. I guess she wanted to find her version of her mother who could do that in order to punish her, or at least in order to not be alone. But what's weird to me is that she would pick her mother, the person who pushed her so much. I don't know, maybe she has some attachment to her. In any case, it makes enough sense that she could be able to find someone, whoever that might be, who can do the things that she can do in the multiverse. So when it comes to visual splendor, I'm gonna mention this scene right here. This is very impressive. The way her hand moves and switches all throughout those different tools, showcasing infinity, since in her understanding of infinity, everything everywhere changes matter. And so these objects that you're holding in your hand, it's just a random collection of matter, but if you switch around those matter pieces, you're gonna end up with a completely different item. That is as close of a showcase of infinity as you can do without, well, ripping your hair out trying. So it's pretty impressive, and I gotta say, I'm very happy with it. But here we run into another issue. By the time that the mother and the daughter both get into the same mentality of nothing matters because the universe is crazy and it's all confusing and doesn't matter whatever happens because there's gonna be an infinite amount of possibilities where those things don't happen anyway, wabba-lubba-dub-dub. The daughter says this thing right here. Most universes are like this anyway. That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean by most? Do you know what infinity is? There's no such thing as most in infinity. Infinity does not have limits. That's not how it works. Even though there's a lot of issues with the fundamental rules of the film, it's still pretty freaking great, I gotta admit. And I like it a lot watching it. But we're gonna skip ahead to the end because this is not much of a detailed review. It's just a haphazard recording. The end showcases Evelyn learning how to fight like her husband, as it were. Her husband, his way of fighting is actually considered just through peace, through calmness, through realizing that yes, even though I don't know anything, I choose to see the positive in the world and help others. Here's the problem though. See, her husband is showcased as a person that would never give up, that would always see the positive in things. Yet the movie starts off with him trying to hand her divorce papers. Isn't that not seeing the positive in things and giving up? And I'm not saying you shouldn't get a divorce because it's the worst thing ever. If you need a divorce, get a divorce. But you can't tell me that this guy sees the positive in everything while he's seeing a dead end. That is confusing and honestly something that this film probably should have realized. Unless the divorce papers were meant as a threat, in which case that makes it even worse. Why would you hand someone a divorce paper unless you were either trying to threaten them with divorce in order to improve because you want to stay with them, or if you're giving up and you want to move on from them with the relationship? I think the overall message saying that you should fight like your husband doesn't work that well, because this characterization has been somewhat weird in the beginning. Now, after the beginning, if you were to ignore the divorce papers, everything is actually pretty freaking great. The way he fights, the way he talks, the way he acts, yeah, I can imagine that. Now, here's another problem though. See, while Evelyn is learning how to fight like her husband, as it were, and becoming helpful to the people around her using her multiversal powers, she ends up helping a bunch of people with different things. Now, the first group of people, she gives them, I guess, an impromptu marriage. That's fine, we don't have many details on that, and let's assume it worked. And the second person, the guy with the big beard, he smells the perfume that he remembers his wife with. And yeah, I can believe that, but the only reason I can is because I know that in this universe, the perfume is what his wife used, right? So I can believe that this actually made in-universe him happier. But we go to the Rakakuni one. Now that's pretty funny, by the way. It's a really funny gag and I like it a lot, but if we're talking about logical, why in the hell would helping a version of this guy from a completely different universe that has no effect on either the Alpha Universe version of him or the in-universe version of him, the one that we're in right now, rather helping a completely separate universe version of him affect him in the current universe or the Alpha Universe? The other two, I can believe that the current universe version of them helped. For example, I can believe that the tax audit one, she probably feels unloved in this universe for whatever reason. I guess her husband died, right? But helping the Rakakuni version would not affect anything other than the Rakakuni version. So you did nothing there. Unless you're trying to show the Alpha version of him that you're helping an alternate version of him, which wouldn't really do much. I don't see how that would help the Alpha version or make the Alpha version change his mind. If anything, it might piss him off because you're like, well, I'm not gonna help you, I'm gonna help an alternate version of you. It's like, bitch, I want you to help me. Why would you help someone else? You help the other people directly, why would you help me completely indirectly to the point where it might not even matter? So that's confusing, and I think kind of stupid. But I need to I'm gonna re-emphasize it. This film is visually amazing. The pacing is great, the acting is fantastic. The rules, though, is where things start to fall apart. Also, beyond all of that, why does Evelyn care about saving her daughter in the other universe? The only thing that could destroy the universe, if we were to think of that, is the Alpha Universe Joy. But Alpha Universe Joy, if she decides to kill herself, will actually improve the universe and would keep your own universe daughter with you, because Alpha Universe Evelyn is dead. So if your goal is to save Joy in every single universe, then you didn't really put that effort in while saving these guys, for example, in every universe. You're saving them in one specific universe. And that's because it's a foolish endeavor to try to do so. It's pretty hard. Overall, I would say I would recommend this film to everybody. If you haven't seen it, then you're missing out. There are issues, but I like it. I find it pretty interesting. So that's about it, really. Those are my issues with the film. I didn't want to make like a fully deep dive into the critique of this film because I don't see a reason to do so. I don't care to make a fully in-depth review of this film. I think it's what I said right now is enough. The rules that I showcased were problematic or broken are what I needed to showcase, and beyond that I think it's fine. The reason this review was so off the cuff is because I'm not that passionate about it. I would say it doesn't make me either too angry or too sad. I just really enjoyed it and found it fun. Just the problems with it upset me. So I would say enjoy this film, genuinely would recommend it, and yeah, that's about it. Okay, so this is added in at the end. I realized this after I uploaded the video. I probably should have scripted this. The universe where Raymond actually apologizes and gets the auditor to agree to another meeting is not the same universe as where they first had the meeting in the beginning of the film. So at the end of the film, when we see Evelyn and the auditor in a meeting together, is this the second universe? The one where they were having the Chinese New Year party? Because in the original universe, the one we started in, they're still in the IRS office. And considering what happened there, there's no way in hell they're gonna get another meeting with the auditor. No, they're going to jail, all of them. So did the writers fuck up? Or did they hope we didn't notice? Because I didn't notice, and right now I just realized, holy shit. Okay, that's about it. That's the end of the video. Sorry for messing it up. Yeah.